Okay, so in this review, I'll be talking about and reviewing this new Rubik's 2.0 cube. And first of all, I want to get over the overall look of it from the outside, and then I'll do the internal mechanism and how it compares to some of the modern day speed cube and all this other stuff in it and recommendations and all that. First of all, I would go over the box a little. The box that mine came in is this box that's distributed by Winning Moves. But it depends on what location of the world you are living in and where you buy your cube at will depend on who the distributor of this cube and of what the package looks like. So, you may get a package that's from Winning Moves, Hasbro, or some other company, but it has to be this version. And on the box, it said newer design, smoother, faster, smoother, and tougher. And has some of this other information. Yeah, bought it for $12. But when it said smoother, faster, and tougher, smoother and faster, no, not faster than the older model, nor smoother. The turning of this is fast but crunchy. But when right out of the box, it was like I can still move it like this, still finger trick it easily, but it was like I had to put in a lot of force into turning it. It's not like effortless. It wasn't effortless. And then corner cutting of this, as you can see from here, cuts really easily. Reverse corner cutting. And comparing the corner cutting of the older model, corner cutting, jack shit. It really doesn't corner cut that much. Reverse corner cutting, diddly squat. Mainly corner cutting is like up to here on the older model. And one interesting thing to note is that the logo changed a tiny bit from the older model to the newer model. If you can see on the newer model, Rubik's Cube, it said Rubik's, and then right underneath it, it has the Rubik's.com thing. And then comparing it to the older one, it said Rubik's, and then it has Cube, and then underneath the Cube, it had Rubik's.com. But comparing it to the original 1980s logo, like this logo, it still has the correct. The older model logo is the same as the 1980s logo, except for the 3x3s in the background, and it says Rubik's.com. But it's on the root of it. But yeah, and with this new cube, it has tiles on it, so that the cube will never have stickers that'll end up like this over time and stuff like that, and that it will just last. The stickers and colors will last a long time. Yeah, but over time, this tile will get scratch marks and all this, like scratch marks, scuff marks, and all that. But that's just normal. It's a normal 57 milliliter cube, and comparing the mechanism to a bunch of these other 3x3 out here on the market, but on this newer 3x3 Rubik's brand, I did mod it some, and I'll go over that mod when I talk about some of these other cubes. Yeah. Alright, so I finished assembling a bunch of my cube to compare it all. Here's the new Rubik's 2.0 cube. If you can see how it works and turns, and it has a ball core on the inside. Now, the mod that I did, that I talked about earlier, was that on the center plate, right around here, it's very sharp there, and I sanded it down and rounded it off so that it's less sharp, and that actually helped a lot. The idea from it was from Albert Yu, Cubic's review of this cube when he made the review like almost a year ago. And here are the pieces and how they interlock with each other. Yeah, it's sort of like a V-Cube 3 V-Cube 3 Fang-C type mechanism. Yeah, much different from the original design. Plus, with these corners these corners have these notches on the base. And what that does is like, it catches on these edge wings and prevent pops. But really, I have not really had any pops with this cube just because of the anti-pop mechanism, and also since I've never really had that much of a pop on a regular normal standard Rubik's brand, the older model, which the older model is right here, and it's just plain blocking mechanism, nothing too special. I think we've all seen this mechanism before, and the older Rubik's mechanism design has been the same for like about 30 plus years, just with some slight little changes here and there, but not much. And comparing the mechanism to some of the other speed cubes like the Oolong, Sulong, in my opinion, looks more like the original model of the Rubik's brand. Yeah, of how they interlock and stuff like that. This is Cyclone Boy's 56mm V2, I forget what model, but it's a 55mm model. Yeah, and it looks more like this newer Rubik's brand. A little. Yeah. It looks a lot like the newer Rubik's brand. But I think you get the point how it compares to a lot of these other cubes out on the market and stuff like that, of how the mechanism works and looks like compared to other model popular speed cubes on the market. Yeah. So far, it has a bunch of features that are on popular speed cubes on the market, like this center plate, centered or similar, and the edges and corners and stuff like that. But overall, yeah, would I recommend this cube? I would recommend it to anyone. Because, hey, why not? It makes a good cube, makes a good addition to your collection. And also, as you can see, it's really hard to put back together because of the design mechanism and all that. But overall, the cube, I would highly recommend it. And it's fast enough to be compared to a lot of these other speed cubes out on the market. But the feeling of it feels like a much more crunchier fancy / way long, too long type puzzle. But it's like a much crunchier version of those puzzles. But it does have a very fast, smooth, not really that super smooth, but fast feeling to it. But the fast feeling of this works best after you lube it and mod it. Because right out of the box, it's just nothing that good compared to like an O-Long out of the box. Yeah, it's like that. Out of the box, this feels like an older Rubik's brand right out of the box. And right now, I'm gonna do a quick solve on this cube. Once I get the timer ready. So I got 42.23, 42.023. Yeah, I know I'm not that fast, but hey, this cube is definitely good enough to be someone's main, but still not good enough to be a good speed cube. Although Rubik's has stepped up and actually thought about redesigning the Rubik's Cube and making the cube better, but still, it's not as good as what we all been asking for from Rubik's. Although there is a speed cube model of this, but that one has an adjustable core, but this one does not have an adjustable core. And still, we've asked Rubik's, many cubers, speed cubers, has asked Rubik's for a better, decent cube to be out on in stores and all that, so that that people who are just buying the cube for fun, not actually speed cubing it or being in the speed cubing hobby, would have a decent good cube to play with. Because, in my opinion, and I've noticed that a lot of people who buy the Rubik's brand cube just buy it because it looks cool and they either have like a memory from it in their childhood back in the 80s of playing with one and decided to buy another one and try it again and all that. But with this new cube, it's bit better, but not the best, because it's still not really good turning out of the box. But the tiles are a big improvement, same as the newer mechanism. And also I forgot to mention that on this cube, in the mechanism, the way that the springs are located, they're located inside the core, not in the stem of the centerpiece, but down in the core, if you can see through that crack. But it's not in the stem of the centerpiece like what most, I mean, 90% of the other Rubik's Cubes out there have the springs in the stem of the core, of the centerpiece and all that, but not inside the actual core itself. But overall, if you happen to find this in stores, go ahead and buy it, but if not, then it's fine if you don't have to. It's not one of those really recommended cubes, but it is a really good cube just to practice on and do warm-up solves, but it's definitely not good enough to be, like, better than the O-Long or the Way-Long. But it's decent. And yeah. Overall, it's just one of those decent cubes. And I've owned a lot of the older model Rubik's brand cube. Like for say, this particular one, this Disney cube, for example, turns really well. Like, I mean, fantastically well. And this one, corner cuts about there. And yeah, it's just fantastic. And this is definitely the older model, unmodded. Yeah. Just unmodded on this older model. And it's just fantastic. And I do have a video up that I made about 2 or 3 years ago. And it's of how to make a Rubik's brand into a speed cube, like the older model. And if you haven't seen that, click on this cube to go check it out. And also the links for it will be in the description. And yeah, so overall, this cube, the Rubik's 2.0 cube, is a decent cube. Not really the best, but it's still a good cube. Good enough for general use, and it's just general playability, and that it's just good enough that non-speed cubers would enjoy it. Yeah.